Hello everyone, welcome to the video. My name is Garth and Neily, and today we're talking about overcoming plateaus in your training. So quite often when you're training, you're going to experience some level of plateaus where you're not going to progress in a skill for weeks or months. And I experienced this when I was doing one-arm handstand. Some of it is technical ability with the handstand and being aware of positions, but this also carries over to more simple strength skills that are less technical. It can be, your one-arm chin-up or anything like that, or even, squatting a new personal best with maximum weight. And there's several different reasons for this. The first one I want to touch on is having too much variety in your training program. Now, I'm all about variety. I believe variety is the spice of life. I do a ton of different things within a week, and I always encourage people to try all the different things they're interested in and try a variety of different skills. Because quite often, if you do such a multitude of skills and different disciplines, your dance, your jiu-jitsu, your gymnastics, your strength training, all of that stuff is kind of cross-training for all the rest of it. The more you get better at one, the easier it is to transition into another and to pick up skills and maybe think of things in a new light and approach problems with a different creativity maybe no one else has before. But there is an issue if you have too much variety. You're not experiencing the same stimulus week after week. Your body has to encounter an obstacle several times in order to understand that it needs to adapt to overcome that obstacle. You see this problem when people are training CrossFit. For about 12 weeks, they're going to see progress and they're going to get results. But after that, it's fairly limited for most people because there's too much variety. Every day is completely different and they're not repeating the same kind of thing over and over. So yes, keep your training playful, experiment with different things, but also have a structured program at the foundation of it that is kind of progressing you in certain skills that you're going to repeat several times a week, if not weekly. That's the best way to do it, in my opinion. The next reason you might not be progressing in a skill is because you've been doing the same style of program for too long. So for most people, you need to switch up your programming every 6 to 12 weeks. And that's because if you keep doing the same thing, you'll eventually become fairly proficient at that, or your body will be able to do that, and it will no longer need to change in order to do what you've set out for it. So maybe you've been only doing 10 chin-ups every week for your pulling strength, and that's no longer enough to cause your body to adapt, right? So with that, you're going to need to progress in intensity. There's many different ways you can progress in intensity. You can increase the volume, so that could be increasing the amount of repetitions or your sets, or increase the intensity of the movements. So that would be, maybe doing an archer chin-up versus a normal chin-up, or just something that is more intense, that requires more strength, and then your body will adapt. So oftentimes people can cycle in between a hypertrophy, a strength, and or endurance phase of the program. So they'll do one, then the other, and that way they're constantly changing the exercises and reps and sets that they're doing, but they're still working towards the same goal and still varying their approach enough. And the last one I'm going to touch on, why you might be experiencing a plateau, is from burnout. Now, it's good to attack things with a certain level of intensity, but if you're always going 110%, you're going to break eventually, maybe physically, mentally, or energetically, right? I know I've seen this a lot within my martial art days. I knew people that were all about embracing the grind and doing things as much and as hard as possible. But then they were the ones that were first to get injured, and to get sick and to eventually have something that forced them out of action, because your body will fight back eventually. So the way to get around this is to start off with an easy amount of volume or moderate amount of volume, and then progress for a couple weeks, maybe 3 to 4 weeks in that volume, slowly adding on a little bit, maybe reps, maybe sets of it, and then reduce your volume on that 5th or 4th week by about 40% to give yourself a recovery. Another thing is you want to make sure that you're eating enough to recover from the amount of activity that you're doing, and that you're getting enough sleep and rest. Sleep is probably one of the most underrated aspects of your training. If you're going to bed too late, even if you're getting 8 hours of sleep, if that's occurring, after 12 o'clock, you're still not going to get the same amount of repair. It's more about when you sleep than how long you sleep in some regards, but obviously, you want to get 8 hours of sleep, ideally going to bed 10 or 11 o'clock, and your body will repair much better. So when you're approaching your training towards certain skills, make sure that you have a foundational program that allows some wiggle room, but you know what skills that you're working on and you have a plan. And number 2, make sure that you have enough variety, or that you change your program every 6 to 12 weeks so that you're not constantly attacking the same problem the same way all the time, so that your body doesn't need to adapt. Number 3, make sure that your intensity is constantly increasing and that you're building up and progressing in the movements, whether it's intensity of the movements or your volume or your relative weight lifted. And number 4, make sure that you're getting enough rest. You're allowing your body time to recover. You don't need to always attack everything with the same amount of intensity. Allow yourself to recover, listen to your body. It does give you signals, and it will break down if you do not treat it right. And last but not least, still have fun. Though you're trying to progress to certain skills, maybe if you put it on pause for a while, it's not the end of the world. Enjoy what you're doing. That's most important. You don't have to get there and as quick as possible unless you're a performer or something like that. Hopefully this information has been helpful. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video if you like the video, and yeah, follow me on my social medias. I'm going to be trying to post every Monday now. It's going to be tough because it is a little bit of a squeeze schedule-wise, but I'm going to make that my goal for the new year. And hopefully you guys will enjoy the content I put forward. Thanks.